My first experience with Wrigley, I was a high school senior, and I was in town for the summer, and I went to my first Major League Baseball game at Wrigley Field. And that was an eye-opener. It was really special. And then after school, when we moved up to the north side, we were regulars. We were total bleacher bums. So when we stepped up in that first press conference in 2009, I felt a lot of pressure. Pressure knowing how much the Cubs and Wrigley Field mean to so many people. You just don't want to mess it up. The Ricketts family is the owner of the Chicago Cubs.
Tom came in really wanting to learn about the business of baseball, and he's so smart that it didn't take long for him to become the teacher. He's got such a easygoing, affable personality, and that's who he is all the time.
Pretty much what you see is what he is. I've heard probably about 50 to 100 people in my life describe him as their best friend.
When you come to the stadium and you see Tom walking amongst the people, greeting people, I mean, that says a lot about him.
I think leadership is predicated on a lot of things. One of those is knowledge, of course. A big one is trust. But I also think a big part of it is attitude and passion. And I think Tom embodies that, and I think that it's really important to an organization.
I remember early on being very impressed by Tom's objectives. One was to save Wrigley Field, two was to be a good neighbor, and the third was to win the World Series. And those were bold predictions, bold promises that he made.
When you think about what we were proposing, I mean, we hadn't won a World Series in how many years? Wrigley Field was how old?
The vision of the team, of Tom's, is we're in Wrigley, we're going to make this thing the best thing we can.
The 1060 project was, by many counts, an insane project. And at every juncture where there was a decision, should we cut back, should we reduce the scope of our work, Tom and the family said, no, we're not compromising.
When the 1060 project was first announced, the community was really not on board at all. We worked really hard to gain the trust and respect of our immediate community, and that was all under Tom's leadership.
It was a bit overwhelming. Like, what have we gotten ourselves into? But I don't think there was ever any question about what we needed to do.
Tom's vision for Wrigley Field was more than just restoring Wrigley Field. The 1060 project brought approximately 10,000 jobs to the community, and approximately 35% of the workforce was made up by minority tradespeople. It was about creating an economic opportunity, which in turn translates to economic growth for the rest of the city of Chicago and the region, and that's what the Burnham Award is all about.
The difference that's been made in the north side of Chicago and in lives of many people and the memories that they have. Tom's made Chicago a better place.
Chicago simply isn't Chicago without Wrigley Field. And I think there's a very good chance that if it weren't the Ricketts family, all of them, and Tom in particular, that Wrigley Field could be sitting there empty.
Cubs win the ball game.
The Cubs are not just a north side team. The Cubs are Chicago's team. And that represents all 77 communities in this great city that we have. You have a moral responsibility to give back to people that support you. When I met Tom, he came to the Ogden Park Fieldhouse in Inglewood, and he brought toys, and he also brought a check for $5,000. He has continued to reach out to people that need help the most, and I think that's what makes Tom the person that he is.
I think Tom is very deserving of this award, and it is incredibly meaningful to our entire family because of what it represents. Not just business leadership, but civic leadership, philanthropic leadership. It's humbling to think that our family fits into that legacy.
Cubs win the World Series!
A lot of people come up and they say thank you for the World Series, and that always makes me feel great because it was such a meaningful thing to so many millions of people who are Cub fans. But I almost enjoy it as much when someone comes up and says, hey, I live by the ballpark. Thank you for everything you've done for the neighborhood. Just to be even a small part in something that means so much to so many people, it's an incredible feeling.